Today we have a very interesting story that sounds very, very familiar. Let's bring it up for you on the screen. UK Berkeley scholar apologizes for being white after identifying as Native American. Berkeley academic Elizabeth Hoover, her name's Elizabeth. Who else do I? It sounds starting to sound familiar to you. Declares she will put away my dance regalia, ribbon skirts, moccasins, and Native American jewelry amid alleged revelations, not alleged, confessed revelations about her true ancestry. So the bottom line here is this woman has been lying about being Native American for her entire life. And she's used that as advantage to get ahead in life. Now, if you're a kid, that's one thing. But once you become an adult, if you're going to start to be using your identity politics to get ahead, you better be right about your identity. University of California, Berkeley faces a firestorm after she admitted, Professor Hoover, after she admittedly was mistaken about her background. I guess that's the politest way to say it. I incorrectly identified as Native my whole life. Hoover, an Ivy League educated expert on environmental health and food justice. Why do they always have to be an environmental health and food justice major? Further apologizing by causing harm. You always have to say, oh, I'm sorry for the harm I caused. Uncritically living an identity based on family stories without seeking out documented connection to those communities. Having my family claim Native identity does not mean Native Asians claimed us. Right. That's an interesting statement because it says just because you say you're something, it doesn't mean you are something, regardless of your lived experience. I was listening to Vivek yesterday, and this is not an endorsement, but that's one of Vivek's least favorite phrases because, what type of other experience do you have other than the type that you've lived? It's just ridiculous on its face. Let's see if we bring this article up again here. Scrolling down, let's see the more. In an attempt to work to meaningfully make amends, Hoover shared a long list of commitments, such as that we've already mentioned. She does not plan on giving up power and prestige she won over the years. Well, of course not. The best part of being a far left woke professor is that you never have to say you're sorry, except in this case. And even when she's saying sorry, there really won't be a penalty. She doesn't plan on resigning, despite calls from over 360 people, including Native American scholars, activists, as well as current and former students from UC Berkeley and Brown. Again, who does this sound like? It sounds like very familiar. I remember a woman named Elizabeth who had the same scam going, and it worked for her. She got to the Ivy Leagues, just like Professor Hoover. Who is it? Oh, that's right. It's our senior U.S. Senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Fake Indian Warren. She lied about being an American. Elizabeth Warren lied about it. It's almost as if Elizabeth Hoover walked in the footsteps of Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, she was the trailblazer. Can I say trailblazer? Elizabeth Warren was the trailblazer, and Elizabeth Hoover just followed in her footsteps in this scam. Sorry, ambulance going by. I don't know if you can hear that. It followed in this scam about pretending to be a fake Indian in order to get by. She's not going to resign. Of course not. In 2021, Hoover's name was added to the alleged pretendian list. I imagine Elizabeth Warren is at the top or was at the top at one time. That she posted a statement of identity announcing that she did not have any official documentation to verify that way my family was identified. It's interesting in this article, she does not come clean as to what her background is. And she had posted a letter of apology. And the letter of apology, which we're not going to get into in complete detail, is exceedingly long because when you're a far left woke professor at a far less woke university, oh, you've got to bare your soul if you've pretended to be Native American and you're not. So it starts off with all of these apologies start off. I have brought hurt, harm, and broken trust to the Native community at large into specific Native communities I've worked with alongside. And for that, I'm deeply sorry. Well, that sounds like something that Elizabeth Warren should have said a long time ago. What is her profession? I can't remember. Here's the money quote. But as an adult, as an academic, I should have done my due diligence to confirm that my ancestors were who I was told they were. In my mid-20s and 30s, I lived in different Native communities where I knew I did not have the breadth and depth of connection that these folks had to Native family history and culture. In other words, since she's been in her 20s, she knew the truth, but she didn't want to act upon that because that could hurt her career. Yeah, it sounds exactly like Elizabeth Warren. Exactly like Elizabeth Warren. Oh, man. You know, what do they say about the tangled web we weave when we wish to deceive? That's what it is. That's what it is. It doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you? You know, I would, again, forgive her for anything that she, under this misconception, was she was a young kid. Your parents, you're 4 or 5, and your parents say, hey, you're from Panama, or you're from wherever, you're from Peru, or what? Okay, Mom. Okay, Dad. That's where we're from. Remember, just because you're from someplace doesn't mean you're a particular shade of skin color. You could be from Africa and be as white as I am, right? It's totally possible. You know, that it is true. You can be, since I mentioned Peru, you can be Peruvian and be ancestrally Japanese. There's actually a significant Japanese culture in Peru. Who knew? But in fact, I think even they had like a prime minister that was Japanese ancestry, but he was the Peruvian prime minister. Yeah, so it's possible. So people come from different, there's all sorts of, interesting combinations that way. So like for me, like my parents told me I was Irish. Okay. I'm Irish. I believe that when I was a kid. And as time went on, I knew my grandparents. They were born in great-grandparents, I should say. My great-grandparents, they were born in Ireland. All of my family has Irish kind of names. Now, is there maybe a little bit of English or Scottish thrown in there? Probably. I've never done the 23andMe thing, but I mean, not that looks are everything, but just look at me. Do I look Irish American? Yes. Right? I've got Murphys and Baines and Curtins in my lineage. I've been to our gravesite where in Mattapan, where there's a whole row of Gately's buried. Everything that indicates that I'm Irish American. But to me, that's kind of culturally important. But most important to me is that I'm American. That is my identity. I don't identify as Irish American. I'm an American. I identify as American, and I think that's what should be our primary identification, not as Italian American or Native American or German American or whatever, Peruvian American. No, American should be really the only thing that counts, and that you understand and believe the ideals that what it means to be an American, which is to embrace liberty, free enterprise, and the pursuit of happiness, not tyranny,